cheers.
Cheers. Queers.
We're drinking straight scotch today because I've had a rough week.
It's been that kind of week.
So I didn't make cocktails.
Oof. It's been.
But
it's been crazy.
thanks for going in it with me.
Yeah,
you know.
I'm here with you.
I was perfectly happy to make a cocktail for you.
No. We're gonna drink the same drink. Okay, partners.
It was just a little.
Not me licking whiskey from my knee.
Also, we definitely have to sip on this.
I know. I'm trying.
I mean, how are you? You just been chilling this week? Because otherwise, I've just working.
I feel like this past week, I've been working a lot in my regular job.
Yeah.
And then the podcast. The day that we launched, I was just kind of interchanging between like podcast work and work. And I was like, oh my god.
I was also busy with like my work stuff I was telling you about, and then also with this because I wanted to make sure like I was with you in it and trying to figure stuff out. And obviously it would have been smoother and great if we had everything like perfect and whatever. But I also feel like trying to get everything perfect, even with just thumbnails and other stuff and trying to figure out anchor. I think it just wasn't realistic. We're gonna learn, but also because it's why I don't put any content out, even just my normal social media and stuff, because I'm thinking too much. I could tell too, even when we were talking, you had a marketing brain because we both work in marketing.
Yeah.
And you were just like, but we gotta advertise more. Like, I get that.
I know.
I do get that we do have to advertise it more, but we also need to just generally have content so people can look at it. I get it. We will post more. It's just, I think, getting into the groove of it.
But, it's 3 full episodes that we have out there.
Full-ass episodes. Yeah. Not half-ass, full-ass.
Full-ass episodes. My friend, Stephanie, she said, whoa, there's 3 episodes? We're getting spoiled.
I know. I feel like we did spoil people now. We're not going to put out 3 fucking episodes.
I told her, I was like, don't expect that every week. It's not happening.
We just wanted to give everyone a treat for our launch.
It's launch week,
It's launch week. So, but now we are regularly doing episodes. It's going to be every Thursday at 1 p.m.
Yes.
1 p.m. on Thursdays. The weekend's not quite here, so you're in that weird place at work where you're waiting for
right
the
before
end of
the
week.
weekend.
So come have a laugh with us while you're trying to get through the rest of the damn week.
And also, comment, engage with us, and tell us what you guys think about it.
Also, while I've been working, since I work from home 3 days a week, I always put on a background show. And it's usually something I don't have to pay attention to.
Yeah.
So I can just do my thing.
What have you been watching this week?
I put Fairly Odd Parents on in the background.
Did you, were you the one who told me about the theory of Fairly Odd Parents?
Maybe.
I think it was about their eyes.
Oh, yeah, because I heard it on like a TikTok.
Yeah.
All fairies have different colored pupils, right? Or something like that. And one of them, who was it? I forgot. One of the characters also has similar eyes. Oh, Trixie. Her friend.
Oh, okay.
The best friend.
Oh.
Trixie's best friend. Vicky.
Vicky?
No, that's the wrong one.
That's not Icky.
It's the blonde girl. The blonde cheerleader. Her eyes are a different color. Her eyes are like the fairies. No, it's not Vicky. It's the blonde girl. I forgot her name.
Okay.
But her eyes are the same color as the fairy
too.
As in she's Trixie's fairy, though. She's the best friend who does everything for Trixie. That's like the theory because her eyes are different.
I really love that theory.
So that's what I heard. I did not think of that at all, but it's very interesting. But what I also noticed about Fairly Odd Parents I realized about cartoons growing up is just negligent parents.
What? That's Dexter's laboratory. Why does Dexter have a laboratory in his home?
Truly, Fairly Odd Parents, his parents, there's a whole storyline. They always talk about not having a kid and what they could do without it. And they're never home, and Vicky's always there and they don't realize. I also feel like they're based off of 70s, 80s families, because if you've ever seen, also having siblings who were born in the 70s and Also, people having coworkers born in the 60s and 70s. We had talked about it before, movies and TV shows like Stranger Things and stuff.
Yeah.
Granted, they get involved because stuff starts happening to everyone.
They have to get involved.
But the kids just go out and ride their bikes wherever the fuck they want. Sandlot, they're just playing fucking. They're just playing in a.
And it was always like time. Get home before dark with your little bikes that barely work. And then wasn't the 70s and 80s the time where like
It, the horror movie,
the horror movies when kids were getting kidnapped and put on milk cartons to find?
Back then, nobody gave a fuck what you did. We also didn't have cell phones, so nobody kept tabs on us.
No.
We just would do whatever we wanted, and it was a wild time. And so I feel like all these 90s cartoon shows were based on those families, because like the parents just didn't care where the fuck
I agree.
you were.
Did your parents care about where you were when you were?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mine too. I wasn't let out.
Being in the 90s, I think my parents, they weren't strict. They would still like let me go out. I would play with neighborhood kids and stuff, but
not I. I grew up in the South Bronx.
That's a whole different place. I grew up in the burbs.
I grew up in the South Bronx, and there were drugs everywhere and hoodlums and just people that my mom just didn't want me to mess with.
Yeah.
So she either kept me at home, had me at babysitters' houses, or in after school.
Did I ever have a babysitter? I think I did have a babysitter. I just don't.
I had plenty of babysitters over the years.
Also, like aunts. I say aunts because I feel like when you're brown, aunts and uncles aren't really your aunts and uncles are just your parents' friends.
Mm-hmm.
Aunts and uncles around.
Yeah.
I think I did go to a daycare maybe or a babysitter when I was really, really young. My memories aren't fully. Yeah. I can't completely remember those.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I remembered.
Yeah, I had several babysitters growing up until I was about 13. 13 years old when I moved to Washington Heights, and then I finally got a phone. And my mom was like, okay, you can have this phone and you call me right after you get out of school.
I did start staying home alone around like 10, 11.
That's nice.
Please don't think my parents are bad parents to leave me at home super young. They both worked.
Yeah.
Full time. And
you were alone, or were you with your siblings?
No, I was alone because there was a point where all of my siblings were out of the house at a point.
Oh, because they were all very much older than you.
Older. By the time I was like 11, 12, they were in their 20s. And
living their lives.
Living their lives. And I think they moved out pretty much when they were 18, 19 anyways. And so I was home alone, which was fine, in our old house that I grew up in. Mm-hmm. And my parents used to buy me TV dinners a lot to survive for a while. But it's also how I learned how to cook, at least a little bit. The first thing I ever cooked was ramen. I say this because it was ramen. But
top ramen?
But I learned how to use the stove to boil the water and stuff like that. And I want to say middle school, getting closer to high school, I started asking my parents for other food to cook. I learned how to cook steak when I was in high school.
Look at you.
I didn't understand what medium and medium rare and all that stuff, man. I do now, but all I knew is that I could cook it and it was edible. I learned how to season things.
Wow, you were better than me. So my mom would leave, we had EBT, so we were on food stamps.
Yeah.
My mom would leave the benefits card, and it was only for emergencies.
Yeah.
But I would go straight to the supermarket and get my cosmic brownies, get all the junk food I could think of. I would stand in front of that Entenmann's aisle and be like, what shall I get today?
Also, in terms of snack foods, Little Debbie's over Hostess, just BT dubs.
Okay. I like them both equally. I'm not going to lie to you. I like a good Swiss roll. I like a good zebra cake.
It's just, I think where I drew the line is because I hated Ho-Ho's. The chocolate tasted weird. But then I had a Swiss roll. Either. And I was...
Changed your life, didn't it?
Well, to this day, me and Kayla will buy a box and say it's like snacks for home. truly will not last very long.
When I was like 13, 14, I lived off of honey buns, cosmic brownies, and what are the other ones? Oh my God, do you remember the Christmas tree cakes?
Yeah.
Ooh, fire.
I found Dunkaroos in the CVS. I should have bought some. Next time, we'll have some Dunkaroos.
Next time, we're going to have some Dunkaroos and whiskey.
Dunkaroos and whiskey. Maybe I could figure out a cocktail that could go with it or something. I don't know. I'm not a bartender whatsoever.
That's interesting.
Stuff
I like that. I'm not gonna forget that.
I'm literally gonna Google
I'm gonna remind you
so to see where we go with it.
But yeah,
snacks.
I barely turned off the stove. I lived off of Lunchables too.
I had those years where my parents got me a lot of TV dinners because I was still young. Was Lunchables, Hungry Man dinners, and the kids' cuisine ones with the brownie was the only good thing.
I never really
in it.
had those.
Okay. Kids' cuisine, everyone will remember
just the cheeseburger macaroni situation.
You've seen the kid cuisine though with the penguin on it.
Yeah.
But you realize the only thing good in there is the brownie, and that's the only thing you eat. Everything else does not heat up well at all.
Ew.
It's really bad. But we survived off of that as children. I feel like a lot of people ate kid cuisines, man.
Yeah. Hot Pockets.
I still like Hot Pockets.
I love Hot Pockets. What's your favorite Hot Pocket?
But I'm basic. I only eat the pepperoni pizza ones.
Oh, I like the meatball ones.
I don't think I ever had those.
Oh, well, I feel like they were kind of fake because the meatballs were like this size.
I used to have ham and cheese ones for breakfast. I don't know why I thought ham and cheese was breakfasty, but that's in my mind that was a breakfast.
Ham and cheese is breakfast.
Okay.
Ham and cheese is for sure breakfast.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
That's how I learned kind of how to cook. Eventually, I learned how to cook more in college when I was a poor college student and I could only afford getting groceries from the 99-cent store. So, you know.
That's nice.
You had to get creative. I had a rice cooker at the very least.
I feel like I didn't know how to cook until like my mid-20s. Not gonna lie to you. It's a little embarrassing. It's a little embarrassing.
I still know a lot of people don't really cook. I cooked out of necessity because I couldn't afford to go out to eat all the time. Granted, even in college, I would literally eat off a $1 menu at fast food places. But, you know, you could only have that so many times.
No, you can't.
I need to eat something else.
You can't.
So I got creative with canned stuff that you would buy because I don't trust anything fresh from 99-cent store or the grocery outlet, you know? It was canned things or box stuff that I could figure out how to make things with.
Oof, Kraft mac and cheese. That was my shit.
I did make a lot of mac and cheese.
That was my shit. And I would get creative with that. I would grab a couple hot dogs, slice them up, put them in there. I would get bacon. I would put it in there. Ham, put it in the mac and cheese.
If you're not in your 30s, though, also to mention when we were in college we graduated 2009, right? You graduated 2009 high school.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then I went straight into college like the same year.
Yeah, same. I went into a trade school the same year, and then I was there for 2 years.
Yeah.
I
did an accelerated art program, so it was a 2.5-year program. We didn't really get breaks, but I guess that's more realistic when you get into the workforce anyways. Yeah. But also because I don't really like school, but I did want to learn some sort of career thing. And I liked art. I was originally going to do graphic design, and then I was introduced to the school, Expression, which doesn't exist in Emeryville anymore. I think the San Jose campus still exists. But the OG campus does not exist, which I wish my student loans would also cease to exist.
Don't we all?
The school doesn't even exist anymore. God damn it!
My school doesn't exist either. It was for also an accelerated program, but it was that kind of private trade school that you can kind of pick whatever you wanted to do. So it had like business, hospitality, fashion design, graphic design. So I went into graphic design only because I was a pro on my MySpace page.
Yo,
I was a bitch. I would be on there for hours.
Those are bringing out core memories. Everyone knows All of us just casually learning HTML.
Casually. Are you serious?
I did.
The videos on your page, the mouse, how it just dragged.
Like very custom pages. Same. I remember I did a camera page.
I remember creating a page that was just about Pink, the artist. So it was all pink. It had the song You Make Me Sick on it. 90s Babies. And it had like falling pink stars as well. And it was just straight up pink and it was beautiful. But I would change my page like every 2 weeks.
I also want to say MySpace is where I found a lot of those emo bands that I was into. Because it was all on MySpace. You could post music. You could have a music page. Did you ever go to a MySpace secret show?
No.
I went to one.
I was never allowed.
Well, the only one that I got to go to, I was probably 18 at the time. And my sister and I went to a Weezer show. Wow. It was a MySpace secret show. It was in San Francisco at Regency Ballroom. It was great. We had a fun time. We met Rivers for like a quick minute.
Hills.
And it was great. I had never been to one because I always had heard of them, but I went to a lot of shows when I got a car at 16, and I would go to random shows and I would meet a lot of those bands and stuff. It was MySpace that got me to those people. It was wild. Also, MySpace was just such a wild place. Bulletins.
Those are my favorite.
When I came out, I was bi in high school, and if some people found out later, it was like, what did you want me to do? Put it on a MySpace bulletin post? Like,
yes, that's what they wanted.
That's what they wanted me to do.
Absolutely.
You would do quizzes for people who didn't have a MySpace. You do like just little quizzes, and you post it up for other people to see. People will comment.
Man,
that was our social media. Surveys.
The surveys. Bro. I would love them. And I would spend so much time completing those surveys.
All the time.
Like, I would get home from school and I'd be like, oh my gosh, what do I do today? How do I cure my top 8?
Also, top 8s. I edited my HTML to have a top 16 because I'm bad at making choices. Because I also had a top 16 I didn't want to offend anyone. I didn't want to offend people. But even 16, you're still keeping up people.
Yeah.
I did have like my first girlfriend in high school. I did have her in my tops at one point before we started dating, before I came out and before we started dating. She would be in that. People, your crushes would be in it. I would keep my cousin in there because I love my cousin. It was my cousin, family. But it was my cousin who I grew up with, and we did end up going to the same high school eventually. So she was always in those.
Do you remember those people that would just have a top 1? Just their significant other?
No. People had that?
People had that, yo.
I saw top 4s.
They didn't give a fuck. I mean, yeah, top 4s for sure. But I saw people at top 1. Just one person. It is the apple of their eye. That's my person. My top
Charlie,
one.
I'm gonna make a new MySpace page and only put you as my top. A top one is wild.
Top 1 is crazy, right?
That's crazy.
But I saw it happening though. Like people didn't give a fuck.
That was middle school, high school people's way of romance though. You're my top, always and forever.
Always and forever. But then when they broke up,
you would know.
Drama. You would know.
So did you ever have a Zanga or a Friendster or any of those ones?
No, this is only a New York thing.
You told me this once.
I had a Skonex. So if you lived in New York or in the tri-state area...
Please tell me, because I'm not from here.
I think that it was maybe just New York, but when you went into high school, it was this social media page that it was just orange. When you got into high school, that's how you that was like your orientation to other people in other areas and other high schools around the area. That's what
you're saying. It was
it was a high school thing. So I had lean back. So yeah, I had a Skonex and
Skonex. It sounds so clinical though.
Doesn't it? I think
but it also sounds like a Pokedex.
That's how I pronounced it. I don't know if other people called it Skonex, but then it kind of sounds like a cleaning
thing. All of it sounds not good.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. But that was kind of like baby MySpace.
So
for us,
Zanga, what I remember of Zanga,
like I do remember Zanga, but I never had that.
You know what I saw in Zanga, especially in the Bay Area. I don't know if other people who had Zanga saw this too, but all the ABGs. Asian baby girls, all those like... You don't know what an ABG is?
This is the first time I'm hearing this term.
Oh my God. I feel like it's so California too, an ABG.
It's gotta be. I've never heard that before.
So an ABG is...
Asian baby girl?
How do I... Describe
an ABG. Paint a picture.
ABG is like those party Asian girls.
Okay.
Who you knew them for like partying, and they're usually pretty, but also they're always like raring to fight, kind of like Asian girls type of shit.
That's hilarious. And did you guys have entertainments?
What do you mean?
ENTs? Did you guys have party groups?
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't go to a lot of them. You remember like
the teen bashes?
You had teen bashes? I never really went to them because I didn't know about a lot of them, honestly. I did go to a lot of parties in high school, mostly from friends.
Okay.
Who would invite me to house parties, but those kind of things, like the ENT parties, I didn't know where.
I wasn't allowed. Fun fact, I wasn't an ENT, but I never went to the parties. But I was an honorary member, so I had the beads. If you're from New York, it was embarrassing. I never made it to the parties. God damn it.
I don't know why this...
That's what happens when you have a Dominican mother. Who doesn't want you out in the streets at all?
ABGs also were usually skimpily like dressed, skimpy outfits, party girls, maybe had tattoos. Maybe they liked people who had cars. You know that kind of stuff.
You didn't have a car.
Here it is. Wait. ABG, an Asian girl who's typically identified by tattoos, revealing clothing, fake eyelashes, heavy makeup. Oh, the long nails. Yeah, that kind of shit. Seen at raves, parties, and clubs.
No
wonder you've never heard of it. It literally says ABG culture is very predominant in California.
Yeah, that's not a thing. I went to high school in Washington Heights. All we had was Dominican mommies. Okay? That's what you call them over there, mommies.
They also were associated, especially in SoCal, were associated with Asian gangs.
Oh.
The ABG girl, that's why I said, like, they'd fight you. An ABG is the kind of girl who goes out parties and stuff, but they will fight you.
But they're looking for fights.
Yeah. And especially in LA, I think it was around like Asian gangster culture, which also the Cholo culture inspired like the Asian gangster culture also, and that's when the ABGs came out.
Yeah.
All that stuff.
So in the Heights we had the Latin Kings.
I've heard of that. Yeah.
The Latin Kings, and then they also were the Latin Queens. So I was in like a little after school program, and the ENT that I was in was also, it was all the girls that were in the ENT as well. And we were dancers. So we had a show at the school once, and our colors were like baby pink and baby blue. I don't know why we were like a gender reveal, but looking back at it, I'm like, why did we choose those colors?
Not the gender reveal.
Yeah, it was that. And I remember because our outfits had like the baby blue and the baby pink bandana.
The 90s and early 2000s, we loved our baby blues though, and the baby pinks.
We really did, didn't we? My
sister still likes baby blue.
I don't understand. Like I don't like baby blue.
I don't like baby blue either.
I like a teal.
Teal's my favorite color.
Yeah, looks like it.
You also saw my teal and gold velvet desk chair.
Oh, it's so beautiful. High school was an experience, let me tell you. It was weird. I witnessed one of my first fights in high school.
Oh, I saw plenty of those.
Oof. It was a little crazy because I was like adjacent to the Latin queens, but I wasn't. I was not. But I had friends in that gang.
Yeah.
And there was a fight after school once. And because I was friends with them, like I was around the area. And when I tell you, they went off and I was like, oh my God, escape. I'm not in this. Because the cops were quick to come around the way. Because it was a heavy like drug area.
Yeah, it was the Bronx and
the Heights,
90s, early
Washington
2000s.
Heights.
Oh, the Heights.
Ooh,
in the early 2000s and 90s. I could get that.
It was hot. And it's crazy too because my school, the school that I went to, it was recently split up. So my school was 4 schools in one school.
That's a lot.
I don't want to say the name.
No, it's fine.
But it was one whole school, and then because of the gang activity that was going on, they had to split it into 4 separate schools. So yeah, the police would come right away because they knew that school was filled with gang
that's some
activity.
shit. I grew up in the burbs, so I didn't have too much of a problem. Though we had a lot of schools in the cities that I grew up in, Fairfield and stuff.
Yeah.
So there were several different high schools.
Yeah.
So I do know people. I know one high school, someone got stabbed when I was in high school. Not my school, but
did you guys have security, a scanner thing?
No, luckily didn't. Oh, oh no, I don't want to call out the school. It's in the East Bay, but I don't want to say it because I did have family that did go to that high school. But I played volleyball. I also did track, but one of our volleyball games, I had to be a freshman or sophomore, and we went to this school to play them at their place. We had to get escorted to the gym, and we had to hold hands. I definitely saw cracks in the window. It looked like a bullet hole. That's what I thought. But we had to be escorted, bro, and there was cops at the school. And my school wasn't great either, but it wasn't like that. See, it was just boring.
That would have been my school if you would have came to play at my school because and we weren't allowed phones, but the girls would stash their phones in their pants. Oh, in their vagina. Sometimes. Yeah. And that's how they would sneak their phone in because the whole scanning thing situation, people would sneak in knives. And it was a lot. It was a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
Were you on a sports team in high school? No.
I was in soccer for 2 weeks.
I tried out for soccer and didn't make it. It's because I'm not good at it. I fully admit that. I was in track and volleyball for a long time. And
all through high school?
Not all through high school, but for a few years. Senior year, I didn't play any sports. I started working and stuff. But you find out the neighborhoods and how different schools are. Because we would go to a couple of schools a little further out, maybe an hour or something, at least on a bus an hour, into different cities. And that school I told you with the cops is way different than this other school we went to in Benicia that was super nice. And I don't know if it was the school security or the janitor, but he had a golf cart driving around. I remember we got too far from the gym exploring and getting snacks and stuff at vending machines. But then we had to get back to the gym. And we got a ride on the golf cart. I was this is a completely different school. And then another school that I used to run at all the time for track and field, it's more that they had to share a field with other schools. It wasn't like your situation where all 4 schools were in one, but 3 or 4 schools had to share a track, like a field. We would go there all the time because I think it was one of the bigger tracks. And it was Vallejo High School, Vallejo High School always had the gnarliest fucking track athletes. They were so good at everything. By high school, there were points where I was like, I have no fucking chance against this girl. They were wild. They were fast. They jumped really fucking far. I don't know what it was about Vallejo High School. Props to you guys, but you guys had
shout out to
some
Vallejo.
of the wildest athletes at that school, bro. But I liked field events, and I did high jump. I know I'm 5'2", but I could high jump over my height.
Bitch got hops.
Bitch got hops. It's from volleyball, actually. Volleyball prepared me for the jumping events.
God, I hate volleyball.
Why?
Oh my God.
Why do you hate volleyball?
I hate volleyball. Because I always have a tendency to get hit in the face with a ball. I've had way too many injuries with balls in general. Again, I was in soccer for 2 weeks. I didn't last very long because I was also dancing around that time. I was really into dancing, competing and everything.
I was a little later too. But
I was like, I'm gonna choose dancing because what the fuck is this soccer shit? It was hard. I was running all the time. I hated it. I hate running. Why would people run? So stupid.
Have you looked at a soccer field? Why did you try out?
Because my friend was in it. Oh, she was in it, and I was like, oh, I'll join because you're in it, sis.
I got everyone into volleyball in middle school because we had a team, but we didn't have enough people really to keep it. And I convinced a bunch of my friends to try out. It was kind of nice. I got everyone into a sport that they never really knew about, and we we pretty much were together all of middle school into high school as a team. So it was a fun time. We had a good time.
That's dope. That's dope. I like the camaraderie of being in a sports team.
There was a lot of us shorties too. There was like 3 Filipinos on that, but we play front row, bitch. Play front row at 5'2", 5'3", 8'8". I was a front row hitter, bitch.
I wasn't good at the soccer thing. I knew that almost immediately. I did really just want to stick around for the cute girls.
I do want to get into more on you because I feel like we haven't talked enough about you because we had a whole episode about me and Charlie and a whole other episode where I talk too much. I do want to get into that. I want to get into some other subjects and then also get into stuff about you. But let's take a quick break.
Yes.
We'll be back.
Okay, yeah.
We're coming off of a tangent from break, but also a tangent of me showing Melissa MC Hammer Too Legit to Quit.
Because I had never seen it before.
Never.
I'm already ashamed for everyone.
Because we're going to get into this conversation, but we were going to get to like Melissa's background because I feel like I've shared a lot about me. And then my girlfriend came on, we shared even more. And I feel like there needs to be more background with you.
Yeah.
And dancing is a part of your background, which is why I showed her that video. And if you guys know the Too Legit to Quit video, you know. It's a whole ass movie. It also has...
It's like 15 minutes.
When I was younger, I just really liked the dancing in it.
It was amazing. Blew my mind. Didn't know MC Hammer could move like that.
He's not just, don't touch this, man. He's
a lot more than that. He's amazing.
Legit to quit. But getting onto it.
Segueing into that.
Mostly we were watching dance videos.
So I started dancing in middle school.
Yeah.
In an after school program.
Okay.
And I kind of just fell in love with it. It was the Missy Elliott era. Ooh, it was the get your freak on area. It was the I'm really hot every time
Missy Elliott also taught.
It was very much that era.
She would put really cool dancers in it.
Yeah. So I was obsessed. I fell in love with hip hop dancing in after school programs. Shout out to my old teacher Shalimar. He was the one that got me into it. And then when I moved away from the Bronx and I moved to the Heights, I kind of lost my connection to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like you mentioned that to me before.
Yeah. So I lost my connection to it and I was trying to dance again. So I found dance again in an after school program in Washington Heights. Sorry. Guilty freedom. This is my favorite song of all time. I'm glad you said that. Because my favorite song of all time. George Michael. So I found dance again in high school. But it was in the form of ratchetivities. I was stepping a lot.
I love that. Ratchetivities.
It was in the form of ENTs, like I said before.
Ratchetivities.
It was that. And
then, I'm just here to go do ratchet things with my friends.
It was just ratchetivities. Okay, so my mom took me to a church because she heard that they were doing a fashion show there. And my mom really so badly wanted me to be a model. Yeah, so the fashion show was at this church in Queens. And she took me to the show, but there was a dance crew in the show as well. And I did
mention this, like very briefly though. It was very quick.
Yeah. So it was like I had stars in my eyes and I was like, ooh. But my mom was like, go back and try out to be a model. And I was like, fine. So I went back with my heels on and everything, tried out. And while that was happening, the dance crew that danced in the show was also practicing. And so I sneaked away and I basically got myself in there. I just started rehearsing with them.
Nice.
And I would go to the church almost every weekend to practice. But there were a few things that happened afterwards. So it was a church.
Yes.
So I basically got evangelized and I became a Christian.
Oh. No, you've never told me this.
Yeah. So I was never baptized, but I was definitely...
You've never been baptized? You know what I was thinking? If anyone's seen Nacho Libre,
I've seen
where he's like, you need to be baptized.
I was never baptized, but I was quickly introduced into the youth ministry.
Oh shit! What the fuck? You've never told me this.
Oh my god! Because it's in the past, man, and it was just it's another life. It's another life. Why? Yeah, oh. I held Bible studies at my house. I wasn't holding them, but there was a woman that would come from the youth ministry, and she would hold Bible studies at my house.
And look at you now, a whole ass queer,
a whore.
I didn't say a whore. I said a whole ass queer. Dear Lord.
And there are lots of queers in the youth ministry.
I was just about to say though, not that you are. Well, for me personally, I don't think it's bad to be queer and religious, even though religion has been things that have suppressed us. Mm-hmm. Obviously not a lot, but very few religious people I met in my life who are very open to just be, God loves you for whatever. Yeah. Those are the great people, you know? Yeah. And I'm from a Catholic family, so I know plenty of queers who are Catholic. I think it's more about having a faith rather than...
Same.
And something bigger than you than rather than all these rules that people seem to...
I agree. Really and I felt accepted into the church because it felt nice to have my faith and also dance my little heart out. And I was with the crew for a really long time until a new guy came into the company and made me his girlfriend.
Made you his girlfriend?
Well,
what do you mean?
It was, we got together. Okay. The thing is, there was a lot of, arguments within the group between him and the other leader of the crew.
Got you.
And there was a time where I had to choose to go with my man who was trying to do his own company or stay with my crew.
Got it.
And I chose my man. And it was an interesting journey. I had just graduated high school. And I was basically leading a group of dancers, brand new dancers, because there was some that came with us from the company and some new people.
So wait, this is mostly high schoolish teenager years?
Yeah. Okay. And then when I turned 17, between 17 and 18, when I graduated, that's when, the new group came into the picture.
Got it.
And that's where I kind of really started being with in that relationship, and it quickly took over my whole entire life. It was interesting because the crew just became everything to me. We were making merch and t-shirts and crew necks and all this stuff. And then at one point we started rehearsing for America's Best Dance Crew.
ABGS? First season? Or just...
No, oh my God. I think it was actually the season with Request. I think this was 2010 or 2011. So, and I don't remember what season that was.
I don't either. I watched the first 3 seasons.
I think I watched those 2. But then I stopped at some point, and because it just started getting weird. But yeah, we auditioned, we made it to the callbacks, and then we didn't make it any further. But we were rehearsing.
Callbacks, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was cool. It was a really tiring and draining experience because we didn't have a studio, and I don't know, by somehow we got into this studio in Chinatown. I think it was a friend of his friends or whatever, but we got in there and we would rehearse late into the night. When I tell you, sometimes we wouldn't get out of the studio till 4 a.m.
Damn.
3 a.m. It was our whole entire lives. And me and him, we were the company owners. So we were it was just draining.
Wait, so you're 17, 18?
Yeah, around that time. Damn. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But it sucked a lot because I think I had to shoulder a lot of it because I had a job. I was working at Aldo in the Queen Center Mall at that time. So I had an actual job and he didn't have a job. And he was just trying to make dance his whole entire life. So there was a lot of setbacks. I'm not going to talk too much about that.
No, it's fine.
But there's a lot of setbacks, a lot of sticky situations. But yeah, the crew basically dissolved in a couple years because he was getting a little bit too successful. Mm-hmm. And he basically said he didn't have time for it anymore.
Got it.
And then he also left me. So
damn.
Yeah, that was a trying time in my life. So yeah. But I was still dancing. I taught a couple classes.
It's very Love and Basketball.
Oh God. Oh
I'm gonna get shit on so bad if I say this, but I'm gonna say I don't really like Love and Basketball.
It's okay, because I'm not really
know why?
into it either.
It's because this sounds he was getting into his career and he let her go. Mm. And then when they got back together years later, she didn't get with anybody else. And then when she started working on her career, he wasn't into it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's why I don't like that movie. I'm sorry. She deserved better. The second it got hard for him and she wanted to work on her career, he was
I also wanted a plot twist. I wanted her to be gay. So bad.
Okay, that's the plot twist I want in every movie.
Every single movie.
Every movie. Okay, so you can't say that because that's the plot twist every queer wants in every god. You know, we make everything gay when it doesn't need to be gay. Because I do it too. I'm not saying that I don't do it. It's just we always want shit to be gay when it doesn't need to be gay.
No.
Sometimes I want a plot twist where she just goes off on her own and is just an independent ass woman.
Yeah, that's the plot twist that I always want.
Or even they go off on their own and they become their own people. I don't know, just something that isn't that.
But you know what? I think back then people just wanted romance.
That's true.
People wanted romance in any kind of way. The toxic kind. It didn't matter.
But yeah, back to you. I mean, just
yeah. So
that's wild.
Yeah, that kind of.
I don't think you ever told me any of that.
It's something I don't really like to tap into all that much because it's like it was my first love, my first everything. So it was like tough to get over that. But I did, and I'm here, and I'm amazing.
Now you're a bad bitch.
But
I fake swoop my hair, but I do have hair. I did this, but I'm like, I do have hair, actually.
But I kept dancing.
Yeah, so from that transition to, I guess, your late teens, early 20s, where...
So I was still dancing.
Okay.
And it was tough because I was also auditioning for agencies at that time. And... and also intensives too. So I was auditioning for this one called Motivating Excellence, held by this choreographer called Rhapsody James. Oh. She's choreographed Beyonce.
I don't know names very well.
Yeah. Well, she's a big name, definitely in New York for sure. But she was holding those, and I auditioned for seasons 1 and 2. Got all the way to the end and didn't make it.
Oh, dang.
So, and then my ex made it, and that's when he left me.
Welcome.
So it was pretty tough and discouraging.
I get that. I can imagine that's just very. Wow, I can't think of the word. Disheartening.
Wow. Disheartening. Yeah, it is disheartening. It's discouraging, especially when you are trying to make it in New York as a full-time dancer. As a commercial full-time dancer is really tough.
I don't know how the dance market is here in New York. Growing up in California, LA was the dance central.
Yeah.
I mean, Bay Area had a lot of dancers for sure. But that's where they started, because we probably grew up there, but then they would make their way to LA at some point.
Everyone in New York makes their way to LA. All the dancers,
that's Dance Central, man.
Yeah, all the dancers that I grew up dancing with have most all gone to LA. Yeah, so I kept dancing, signing up for intensives and all that stuff, even into like my mid-20s. I had an internship at a Broadway marketing job. Did I tell you this?
No.
And that was basically like my first big girl job. where I was working in an office and all that stuff. And that's where I really started my email marketing career, because I was designing emails, coding them, and sending them. So I was doing all that, but then I was also...
That's when your MySpace background came in.
Yo, if it wasn't for MySpace, I would not have the career I had today.
I did start a little bit in web design before I like learned animation and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I did go to school and I did learn some shit, but shout out to MySpace.
Tom.
Yo, shout out to Tom, my first friend.
Everyone's first fucking friend.
Oof, Tom. I was there at that job for about 4 years. And then in between all of that, I decided that I wanted to go into like nutrition and being
Wait, what?
dietitian.
You never told me that either.
Listen, I've had many lives, okay? I signed up to go to Montclair University to become a dietitian. And I'll get there. So around that time, because this kind of like loops back to when we were talking about cooking and everything. So I didn't know how to cook until my mid-20s, because that's when I was experimenting with vegan food. And I was like, I need to learn how to cook this vegan food because my mom ain't gonna cook it for me. So I had to get in the kitchen, and that's when I started learning about food and nutrition and all that stuff. And I fell so in love with it that I was like, I'm gonna go to school for it.
I mean, I don't know if, I know there's people out there who think 30 is old or whatever. But I feel like you and I went through a lot of different things in 31 years.
Yeah.
Especially because career stuff really happens after high school, 17, 18. So there's really only a span of maybe a little more than a decade there.
Yeah.
And I feel like we've done a lot of stuff.
I have experimented so much in my life.
What I told Charlie, I've always been in the same industry and the same kind of career, but I told Charlie all the places I've worked, and even as full-time jobs, stuff I freelance for, and people will be like, who the fuck are you, bro?
Exactly.
I don't even, and I know even more people my age who've done way more things than I have, or even switched careers or done a bunch of other shit. That's the thing I think I want to bring up, and we mentioned in the last episode with Charlie when she asked about, is it get easier in your 30s? And, you have a better understanding of maybe of things you want to do. But even then, you don't even have to have it locked down. Even now at 31, I'm considering other things or whatever. And I think that's something I always wanted to point out, is that you can change your career whenever the fuck you want. I met a lady when I was speaking at a high school for like women in STEM or something. And she was in her 50s, I think. And she said she completely changed careers at least 2 or 3 times. Like very different careers.
I think it's important to switch and to question yourself at every step you are in your life, because you don't know what you're going to get into. You don't know what you're going to love if you don't try as many things.
I also feel like there are 3 things objectively what you could choose, reasons why you could stay at a job or not. And it was on a podcast I listened to recently. I might have forgotten all 3 of them, but 2 of them I remember. One of them was, you're either probably doing it for the money or the art of it. You're doing it for the part. Because it was actors, and they were like, you're either doing it for money or because you like the part, or there's a 3rd thing, and I forgot what it was. And it made a good point. There were 3 things, because I don't always chase money. I have a friend that always is a freelancer, and she does like a lot of money. She makes a lot of money in those things, but then there's points where, it gets slow, and even though she made a lot of money in the other stuff, and even with the savings, it gets hard in times when you look for another project. And I've always maybe gotten the full-time job for the stability.
Same.
And you don't have to do that, but I have, and maybe other people like, you could probably get more somewhere else or whatever. But look, if I feel comfortable with the stability temporarily, then I'm going to probably do it.
And I think, personally, I understand the struggling artist life. I was there myself for a good year after I left my 4-year stable job to pursue being a dietitian. After that, I realized I was going to suck at school because one, what the fuck is organic chemistry?
There are struggling artists. I do get that. But I also think there's a large stigma about being an artist and not being successful. And it's really wild to me because art is all around you.
Exactly.
I mean, a day without art, you're not going to have books. You're not going to have movies, no music.
No movies.
Even the annoying ass ads that tell you to sign up for a thing, you know who made that? Probably me, because I'm annoying. Probably me.
That's art.
Because I work in marketing and advertising, so
those e-blasts you get, those emails you get, I probably worked on them.
Sell my soul to advertise for companies. It's because they pay me. Actors are artists, bro. What?
Yep.
I remember seeing a comment years ago, and I know someone answered it back, but someone was like, "Lol, artists are blah, blah, blah. You know, it's programmers. Programmers do put the stuff up and can help in a lot of things, and actually, some programming can help with art." They're a part of it, but the actual creators are artists. But then there's a stigma around, starving artists. I remember I spoke at a high school because one of my friends was a teacher and he taught an animation class, like a computer animation class. And I spoke in his class and I literally had a kid that talked about going to college and he's like, oh, well, I'm going to do something more realistic and do business and stuff. And some of these kids were really good animators for like the simple program that they were using. You know what? Also, you can combine stuff. People, please, you can combine things. You know what I did wish I learned was learning more business. I wish I had learned, and I had gone to college for this kind of stuff, for motion graphics, and I wish there was a business minor even to learn that aspect, because I learned it the hard way, you know, pricing your things, talking to clients.
And there might be that now.
Yeah, and it's just
to prepare artists for freelancing.
And I'm not going to share any sorts of how I get paid or salary or anything. Let's just say I'm comfortable. I am, admittedly, and I'm in a place in my career where people definitely hire me for experience now. But people don't know that. People think art is just drawing and painting, which you can still do and make good money. But what I want to say about being an artist, and I know there's going to be plenty of people out there who's like, it doesn't take anywhere. Just because you can draw and stuff. I don't know. A lot of business people, a lot of people who don't think art is a legitimate job. I think people don't really realize where art even lies. Even, again, annoying ass advertising are still fucking animators like me. And people doing that shit. I worked in sports for 7 years.
Yeah, but I
my whole job was video editing, art stuff, design, graphic design. You could design for sports if you really love sports, guys, or brands even. Shoe culture is a huge thing.
The hype bees.
So the whole struggling artist trope, fuck you guys. I'm sorry. It's a real viable career, especially me growing up Asian.
Ooh,
my parents weren't as strict as maybe other Asian families at all, but you know, I know my dad did question a little bit when I did start going to college, and I didn't have a job immediately out of school. I did have an internship for a few months. The one thing I'll say about art as a career, you do have to know, depending on what industry you'll be in, they're all different. It'll all be a different experience. I work in advertising and marketing, so, you know, I'm selling my soul a little bit. I won't lie to you. But it can make art feel different, which we've touched on how I don't post a lot on social media because I am a video editor and it's just like a lot. But also even personal art, painting, stuff like that, I don't share as much as I should. Almost art feels like work sometimes, and it's rough. And you were a professional dancer, and I don't know if you ever feel like that.
Absolutely. When I was saying that after I quit my job to be a dietitian, and then I found that I couldn't be a dietitian, I was dancing and trying to make it for an entire year. And that was tough. I wore a lot of hats. I was a cater waiter. I was a pamphlet giver. I was, what else was I had so many jobs that year. And the time that I would get to dance was hard because my body hurt from all the other jobs that I had to have to survive. It ended up feeling like work.
You gotta have a thick skin in a way.
You do.
Don't get me wrong. I'm a sensitive ass bitch sometimes.
Same.
But I cry at home.
I cry at home, goddammit.
But art is so subjective. You get criticized a lot too.
Ooh, what?
Because art is so subjective, whether it's dance, visual art, music,
comedy.
God, it just because there's some people that aren't gonna like it because it's not their style, and that's fine.
Yeah.
If you're not their style, it's fine. But there's gonna be the people who it's not their style, and they're gonna be vocal about it. Mm-hmm. And then being as your profession, you also have to satisfy a client a lot of the time, which is me. I work with clients a lot, and a lot of these clients don't understand how any of it is actually made.
Absolutely nothing.
So,
and I'm working in email. I'm only working in email, Facebook ads, mobile ads. That's what I work in.
I mean, I make silly videos for the internet.
Get anything.
I make videos for the internet. It's fine. It's just they don't understand a lot of it, and also their timelines are so unrealistic. So you have to get really good at talking with your producers and other people, just how things work. Or
you
if
have to advocate for yourself.
You do. It's hard. Even now, I still have trouble advocating once in a while. Just know if you are going to professionally, it doesn't have to be something you love, because I'm not gonna lie to you. I had a friend that said, I wish I didn't do art as a profession. I wanted to separate what I liked doing with my job.
And that's where I am.
And I kind of wish I did the same. But that's not for everyone. Some people really do end up doing shit that they really enjoy and they thrive in it and do really great.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Me and my family, we grew up on Section 8. So it was always an issue every time I got a job or every time I was in school. Like I should remain in school so that we could have cheaper rent, or I should not get a job that pays too much so that the rent doesn't go too high. So it was a struggle trying to pick between what I really, really love to do and what stability would look like for my family. Mm-hmm. I landed on a temp gig, and that temp gig offered me a full-time position.
Yeah.
And I would be remiss if I didn't take it. So that's where I landed, and that's where I've been at for the last 4 years. And I dance every now and then, and I love when I do dance because it's something that I am not searching for money with now. Like I'm not relying on having the best audition or the best like moves for a freaking video or something like that, because I'm dancing for myself and I'm not dancing for the person who's looking out for, the next, I don't know, J-Lo dancer, or the next person that goes on tour with Rihanna or whoever it is.
People don't have to feel the same way as we do. If you really do want to pursue your passion,
fucking
do it.
Do it.
Honestly,
if your dream is to go on tour with Beyonce, bitch, do it.
Just do it. But I think for any job, but especially just because it is my own experience, if you really do want to pursue those passions or you want to do art as a profession, you have to have a drive for it, because it's rough.
Stop.
It's hard because, again, with the subjectiveness, you're going to hit a lot of stuff where you don't agree with, or a client has bad taste in something, but you still got to do it. That kind of shit, But again, that's just my career. You might not have clients. You might be doing something completely different. Mm-hmm. But it's going to be rough. But if you really do want to do it and you pursue that, you put the effort in. It's going to be hard.
Yeah.
But definitely put the effort in, but also make sure you have a support system while doing it.
That's extremely important. Because you might
just be real with yourself about what you want and what you want to do. Yeah, and do stuff outside of work, whether it's side hustles, podcasts, or just relaxing. I don't know how to relax. But
it's really hard. And then when it comes to dancing, personally, aside from the pressure of trying to pay bills with dancing, I also think there was a shift in the dancing industry. Especially when social media came into the picture. Now, you go to class to be filmed. Now, you go to class, you go to the Red Room. when a lot of my friends were moving to LA, it was a lot of, you go to class, learn the combo for like 30 minutes, and the rest of the entire class was just filming. Dang. And I get that. I feel like the integrity of the class is lost when people only go to class for the song or to be filmed. But what do you do when you're not working? Are you watching TV? Are you binging
I watch
something?
TV, but I don't have any specific activities that I do to relax. It depends on how I'm feeling in the moment. A lot of stuff for me is off of vibes and feelings. Yeah. And not everyone operates that way, but it's just how I am. So if people think I don't do certain things all the time, it's because there's probably a few moments where I didn't want to do something. Yeah. But it's not every moment. I'm all over the place, man. I will be down for anything for a while, and then other times I just don't want to do shit.
I feel the same. I have recently picked up crocheting again, but it's only because it's cold. I'm not gonna crochet in the summer. Nope, you're not gonna catch me crocheting in the summer.
I don't think I'm consistent with one thing, and I think that's something to know about me. I'm not totally consistent in terms of doing the same thing all the time.
Lorrie, you and I both. I will constantly pick up things and drop them at the dime. Like, it doesn't matter.
Maybe and a Gemini. I have 80 million hobbies.
I'm also an air sign, and I might be ADHD.
You're an air sign. It's an air sign.
I feel like all air signs just have ADHD.
Oh, yeah, totally. Absolutely. I always say this. I have approximate knowledge of many things, but I am a master of nothing. Boom. At all.
Master of none.
I'm jack of all trades, master of nothing kind of thing.
There you go.
But you know what? I like that I'm dynamic in a way, because then I can do a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
That is, going back to the work thing, too many jobs want people to be the jack of all trades. And will only pay you for one job. Man. Yeah, people want you to wear too many hats at jobs now. So advocate for yourself. Advocate for your title, because a couple of my titles didn't reflect everything that I did. Yeah. And it doesn't seem important, but if you want a job where you're a hybrid video editor, animator like me, but it only says that you're a motion designer, they don't know if you can do anything else. Yeah, or they think you do basic shit.
Yeah, basic shit.
Okay, we talked a lot about work and job stuff.
This became an inspiring.
We were gonna talk about some other stuff, but we'll save it for the other episode. Yeah, but I think this is a good one because I feel like a lot of people, maybe at our age or close to our age at the very least, or maybe in the same place of when you feel stagnant in
you're stuck,
your job, you're stuck, or you're just wondering if you're the only person that feels this kind of way at work. You're probably not, and we're here for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone feels like that at some point, and you're never too old to feel that way.
Oh yeah, I said we were gonna start plugging our socials and email. Yes, our socials is 30s Dirty Thoughtin. It's basically this without
the ampersand.
30s Dirty Thoughtin
and the comma.
I'm sure there's no punctuation.
No punctuation.
Just 30s Dirty Thoughtin.
Look for us on TikTok. Look for us on Instagram and YouTube.
And then
Spotify.
What's our email?
30sdirtythoughtin@gmail.com.
Yeah, if you have any questions or subjects you want us to talk about, or comments even.
Stories. You want advice on something? Maybe we are qualified to give that to you. I don't know.
Please be nice, because we're still new.
We're babies.
I've also had a rough week, man. A rough couple of weeks.
Shout out to the whiskey. It's gone.
I got a second glass on our break, so.
This is still my
Peace, guys. Have a good one.
Bye.